time. For some reason, I am not getting a picture. Okay. All right. We are online, and good afternoon, everybody. It's good to see all of you. A little bit of hiccups here and there on the technical side, but we should be able to get started anyway. We're going to try and make it as pleasant, as easy as possible. All right? Okay.
Okay.
We're going to get started. Right. Let me just put it back to the focus on our canvas. Okay, this is what we're going to be doing. Okay, the simplest thing that we're going to do is, as usual, let's get started by establishing where your horizon is going to be. I'm using blue for the time being. It's just to give you an idea of where the horizon is, so that we can continue with the rest of it shortly. I'm using blue. It doesn't have to be very a lot of blue. Just to give you an idea of where the hills are going to be. There's one hill, second hill, third hill. I think that's basically what we have. Okay, before we start coloring. All right, that's what we got. There it goes. All right, we are ready to start moving on to the sky. The approach, as usual, is basically we're going to start from back to front, and obviously the first thing that we're going to be doing here is actually the sky. Starting from top to bottom, it's going to be a bit of bluish, mixed with a little bit of yellow as you come down towards the horizon. All right. Let's see what's going on here. Okay. Okay, we got this. So here goes. We are ready. The colors that we're going to be using today is a little bit lighter. So we're going to start off with blue, with a bit of white, yeah, so that it doesn't come across as too blue. Yeah, it's a mixture of blue and white, starting from the top. Mix, yeah, you can see this, yeah, blue and white. And we're going to just go from left to right here. Ignore the clouds for the time being. Left to right strokes, yeah, just so that you can get as smooth as possible. And as you come down, we try and add and introduce a little bit of yellow. So that you can see it straight away, yeah. A little bit of yellow. So it looks a bit greenish, is okay. That's the idea. And as you go towards the horizon, closer to the hills, add a little bit more yellow and less blue. So we got roughly this kind of shade. You can add more white if you like. I'm adding a bit more white so it becomes a little bit brighter. So I think in a very short few minutes, you have actually achieved the gradient color. Keep your brush strokes left to right, yeah? Keep your brush strokes left to right. So as you can see, what I'm doing, I'm just going on a slow left to right brush stroke in a sense just to smoothen out the colors a bit. And just a note, yeah, when you're doing this, it's important for you to start on the left and finish on the right. Don't stop halfway, because if you stop halfway, you're going to see a brush mark somewhere. Right, just go left to right. So in a very quick few minutes, we already have the sky all done.
There's no water, huh?
No water at the moment. Don't use water for the time being.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's number one. Number two, you can actually, if you like, yeah, you can actually, I mean, since we already, we're still painting the sky. In effect, your water in the foreground is actually a reflection of the sky. Some people can like to, if you like, can actually just paint in some suggestions of the yellow just below. Don't forget this area below the horizon is almost like a mirror of what you see on top. Yeah, so roughly that's what you see. You won't be seeing the whole sky because in front of the sky there's the hill, right? So let's. But I think we have actually used all the color that we actually applied just now. So what we can do, we can actually go back to the sky a bit. I think the sky should be a little bit dry by now. You can actually do, let me just check and see. Yep, that's looking good. It's looking a little bit dark here, so I'm going to add, I mean on the horizon, I'm going to add a bit more white so that it's a bit brighter, just to lighten it a bit. So the idea is to give it a sense of from dark, I'll call it dark for comparison, dark on top, slowly brightening up. But because you're using white, so it's a little bit of lighter shade. And so by using white, you're making the this bottom part here a little bit brighter just by adding more white. And generally speaking, the yellow tends to make it lighter anyway. Okay, we got that. So this is one of the ways we can achieve the gradient look. Yeah. To answer Bina, I think Bina had some problems the other day with achieving a gradual shade from dark to light. This is a simple way of doing it. Yeah. Okay. This number one. Number two, let me see what else can we do to make it look better. Number two. All right, now we are ready to move on to the next stage. And since this part is still like not so dry, all right, we can actually start painting in the clouds, yeah, that's hanging over the sky. So what you've done so far is you have actually painted the background sky. So the next stage that we can go is actually just to add in clouds to give it a sense of depth. Yeah? Let me just show you how you're going to do your clouds. The clouds are a little bit darker than the background, but the first thing we're going to do, we're going to change the brush, yeah, by the way. Again, dry brush without too much water. If you already wet it, please make sure that you squeeze your water out. Okay. And we're going to start doing the clouds. The clouds will be made up of a little bit of, I think, blue and red to give it that maybe purplish look. Okay, but in this at this juncture, what you want to do is you don't want to use the blue and red as it is. You need to actually dilute that with a little bit of white. Yeah, so it becomes a little bit lighter. Let me just see. So it's a little bit purplish, but lighter purple. Something like this, maybe a little bit more red before we put on the clouds. All right, I'm going to paint the clouds in right now. Yeah, the cloud is basically something that floats over the sky. You can actually just rough out the shape. Yeah, I'm going to paint in just one base color first. As usual, we are going to paint in a base color. I call this blocking out your colors, and keep your clouds maybe about this level, slightly above the hill. And your strokes can be either You can make it a bit curly. You don't go for straight strokes here, yeah. Just rotate your brush if you can, or just make it look like you're painting little circles like this. So because your your paint at this moment is still not 100% dry, there's a little bit of a tendency to mix with the bottom, the color that was there earlier on. Yeah. So this is what I'm going to do right now. Let it mix a bit with whatever color is at the bottom. Slightly, it mixes, but that's a good thing because it helps you to give it, mix the colors a bit. So in effect, you are actually mixing your colors on the canvas. All right. So I'm just going to add on more. Try and give it that circular look, circular feel if you can. So this will be the first layer, just to establish where your clouds are. So we should have clouds here already. Can see or not? All right, I got you. All right. The sky, in fact, if you want to just fill up this whole area with the purple. So immediately you can see there's one whole darkish patch here. So these are floating clouds. And the idea is to basically, we are not trying to create a flat color here, by the way. So it's okay to look patchy at the moment because that is actually part and parcel of your textures. So let's spend a little bit more time to make your clouds a little bit more fluffy. So we got all this. Okay, so we got the dark side of the clouds. So bear in mind that these are actually floating objects, yes, and they catch the light. Okay, here we go. So you have one layer of clouds floating. Now the only thing is you have to actually create a sense of lighting. Bear in mind, the light is actually coming from somewhere here, right in the center, because it's sunset. Yeah? And you can actually, if you like, you can wash your brush a bit, but make sure that you squeeze it dry before you use it. It's going to be dripping quite a bit. Okay, here we go. So we have clouds now. I'm just removing the purple from my brush, and I'm going to squeeze it dry, so that we have same brush. We're going to use the same brush, but this time what we're going to do is we're going to add highlights, yeah, to the clouds. So here we go. The highlights here is actually orangey, so it's actually yellow and a little bit of red. So you get something like this. But this color is a little bit strong, yeah? So you may want to actually add in a little bit of white. Hang on a bit, yeah. It's a bit orangey. All right. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna actually just add in the highlights. Oh, it's a bit strong. Hang on, it's much too strong. I'm gonna add a bit more white. So basically, what you're gonna have below the clouds that we painted just now, we're just gonna add highlights at the bottom because this way it catches the light. This one helps to define your clouds and give it a lot of body and shape. So you have to make sure that your yellow or orange highlight is a little bit lighter than the clouds at the bottom. I mean, just below it. Yeah? And we're going to throw in a little bit of highlights here. And this is where I'm starting to use my dry brush technique. Yeah. Whatever color you were using at the bottom, there's still some of that bit of color. You can apply up here. And because it is dry, it tends to mix quite a fair bit with the cloud color, but it does give it a sense of maybe you can see there's some yellowish tinge up here. And we are at this point making full use of the properties of a dry brush. So don't add a lot more paint here. We're just using leftover paint on the brush. And your strokes, as I said, try and make it circular if you can, to give you that wispy, cloudy look. So this is still using dry brush with leftover paint. So very quickly, we have given it a bit more shape. And I think I want to just make it lighter still by adding more white here. Anyway, I'm just adding a bit more to the highlight. And also, I think in terms of the recording and how it appears, this part is actually a little bit lighter, but because of I think the lighting, hang on, let me just show you what it looks like. It looks a bit too bright because the paint was wet. And then it looks a bit bright here, especially here. Yeah? It looks, because of the reflections of the paint. Yep. Anyone want to say something?
Oh, no.
All right, so we got this. So we are just giving it a little bit more highlight. Improving the highlight, if you want to put it that way. And I'm going to mix a little bit more of the orangey so that I can have streaks of clouds here floating. I'm just adding a little bit more floating clouds, but these are actually orangey. So a little sunset and sundown is coming along. And I'm actually adding a little bit of red to the yellow so that it's a bit more orangey. All right, I think clouds are fine, sky is fine. Next thing you got to figure out is how to get the hues. All right. Stage number 1 and 2, sky and cloud, is already done. All right, so what we will be doing next is actually this area. In the valleys between the hills. I wanted to point out to you that here you can see the furthest hill is somewhere here. This will be the lightest. And then after that there's another hill here which is not so dark, not so light, and the closest hill will be here on the right, on the left. Okay, we're going to do that. Right. To do that, of course, we're going to be using red and blue. There's a little bit of orange there, but it's okay. I'm going to just make a background orangey. This is not orange. This is actually purplish. Too purple. Hang on. So sometimes in the mixing of color, it's impossible to be exact. Yeah. So we try till we are satisfied. Okay. Now we're gonna have purple. All right. Something like purple. I'm gonna paint, but because it's gonna be far away, I have to add some white so that it looks like it's in the distance. All right, I'm gonna try that, yeah. It's still probably a bit dark, but I think it's okay. Yeah, okay, I have a distant hill. So when you're painting hills, try and define the shape a little bit using the tip of your brush, just to give it that, without showing you too much of the hair. All right, so we got first layer. The furthest hill will be here. If you feel it's maybe, I think it's a little bit too dark, I'm going to lighten it a bit here by adding some white. It's still a bit dark. So sometimes you don't know how dark it is until you actually put it on the canvas. Okay, I'm lightening it by adding white. So the strokes, if you like, you can actually just follow it is maybe about, the strokes are a little bit top to bottom, but diagonally across, yeah. So we got this guy here. All right, That's hue number 1. So it's far away, so it's got to be lighter. Okay, we can move on to the hue number 2 now. Hue number 2 obviously will be a bit stronger. So less white. You still got, you still need to make it a little bit, let me see. Does it look darker? Hang on. I'm going to do hue number 2. Almost the same color. Hang on. What we're trying to do is to give it a sense of depth by making it slightly stronger. Yeah, you can see actually slightly darker than this one. You can see this line right there. Hue number 2. The trees we're going to leave it to the last. So what we are trying to achieve is depth, color depth, in terms of the further away an object is from you, the lighter it gets. All right, so you got hue number 3. And we're going to go for hue number 4, which is this one. Okay, technically speaking, we can make it the darkest. Let's see how it goes. Again, we're still using blue and purple, but this time we won't use we will not use too much white. Yeah? Let me see how that's going to work. The hue is going to be roughly the shape. So this would be the darkest on the lot. So over here on the left-hand side, it looks very bright because of the reflections. Let me move the lights a bit, see what happens. Okay, this is shiny, that's why it looks bright. Anyway, let me just fill up this area first. So you have quite quickly got the 3 hues. And I'm giving a lot more textures in terms of maybe I don't want this to be smooth like a wall. So we're going to have a lot of textures. That means a lot of brush strokes you can see here. So we got a hues. All right, there you go. So what we have currently is actually uh, 3 layers of hills. In fact, I think this one in the middle, I probably want to make it a little bit lighter. Let's uh let's let let's do that in a minute. Yeah, hold on. They have to be distinctly different in terms of their color intensity. Let me just show you what it looks like. Okay, so I have a lot of textures going on here, so it looks very rough, which is fine because you're dealing with natural environment. There's gonna be a lot of unevenness. Okay, so we got this. The only thing is this one a little bit too dark. Right, we're gonna darken, lighten it a bit. Okay, here we go. So we got the hills. Let me see what we can do with this one. This one here, probably add a little bit more white. Let me see what happens here. Can we lighten it a bit? Distant objects. This area. And you notice that what they have also done, yeah, they have actually introduced a little bit of, maybe a bit of orange. This area, because it's a bit of the sun. It is probably a bit too strong for the time being. Let me just put down a layer of color here. Ah, who is that? You, Sean. Welcome to the group. I hope you can catch up. Okay, so we got this. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just making this distant hill a little bit lighter, and also adding in a little bit of spillover of the sun's warmth, as it may, the here. And again, I'm keeping my brush very, very dry, so that let me see. I'm trying to add more white at the bottom. So this part, yeah. All right, so the lightest is the furthest. The intermediate hill is here, and the foreground hill is gonna be here. So what we're gonna be doing next, yeah? Let me see. I think I'm gonna add more depth, yeah, by adding in maybe textures to the hills. So this one is dark, but maybe I also want to add highlights to the hill. Uh, Let me see what we can do. I'm also going to add a bit of yellow, so that maybe we can get some highlight and textures. And I'm trying to keep the textures diagonally sloping down.
How you remove
Just
this?
pardon.
How do you remove this? This side?
Cannot.
Cannot. How
You
do you
can
remove?
collapse it.
I can't see what's going on there. Where is it? Oh, okay. Let me see.
Okay.
I'm just adding in maybe slight highlights, yeah, to the I won't call it mountain. These are little hills. So you can see the three levels, 1, 2, 3, and even on this foreground, this area, we can make things a lot more interesting, yeah, by maybe getting a little bit more variations in terms of maybe shades and color and maybe don't forget this one is in the foreground, yeah, and it stretches from here to here. What we can do, I'm going to change brush here now. I'm going to go for the smallest one. Let's make this area look like there are a lot of trees in front of this hill, yeah, in front. And let me see, what can we do right now? We can literally just paint trees. Hang on. Let's see what happens. I'm going to make purple again. And this time without the white. Or at least without too much white. Yeah? Let me see what happens. Does it work? Hang on. Okay. Oh, without white it's a bit too strong. Okay, what I wanted is just to create something slightly darker than the background. So these are possibly foreground trees, slightly darker than the background, just to give it depth. And I'm going to just make the horizon here straight, left to right. But you can see that I'm actually painting it. Maybe I make it darker so it's a lot more obvious. So you can actually try this doing using dabbing action. Dab, yeah, so that you can get some tree light shape. Right, so we got trees. So in the close-up of your scenery, you realize that all these hills and all that, they are actually made up of trees. It's only when you come closer that you can see the trees a lot clearer. So in front of this hill here, there's also some trees, and this is a time when maybe you need a little bit of black. I do not know whether all of you have got black. I'm sure you have, yeah? Let me just see what happens. We'll try and do it without black first, but I'm sure we're going to need black because your colors are already very dark. First and foremost, let's try and make your purple as dark as possible by adding blue to the red. Okay. Let's see what happens. Do we need black? Do we not? Let's see what happens now. Okay, I'm going to paint in trees, yeah? Maybe a lot more blue. Hold on. You may add black after this. Let me just see. Does it work? Not strong enough. Because once your background is so dark, you probably need to have black to enhance it. Okay, just remember what we are actually doing here is actually putting in trees that are closer to the viewer. So each of these trees are basically just depths of color. I think you still can see it without black. Let's see, we'll try and do it without black for the time being. So you're gonna have shapes like this. And just remember, it's actually just dabbing, yeah? They are not exactly circle, but we're trying to create something that looks like trees. And we do that by just dabbing. And try to also make it look like as you go towards the right, it gets smaller. And at the moment, I'm just keeping my brushes a bit high so that just below this, you don't have to paint the trees until the bottom of the horizon. Imagine that these are trees with a tree trunk, and they are probably about 10 feet, 5 feet, or something like that from the ground. So leave this space here. Try not to bring down your trees to that level so that you can actually see. We can actually add tree trunks afterwards, yeah? Let's get the trees in first. So immediately you can see that there's actually a big contrast between this background and the foreground trees. This background is blue and red with some white, whereas this one is just blue and red. Okay, so we got trees. After that, we're going to play with highlights on the trees. So we have the lakeside on, I mean the hills are almost done. We'll do a bit of a bit more highlights and detailing later. But for now, we are concentrating on laying down your base colors and shapes. The main shapes are all going to be here. All right. So I'm almost down to the water. And I'll just make the water's edge a little bit darker. So that there's a slightly lighter layer of, maybe you can call that the land, yeah, before you hit the water. So you can see there's trees floating. This is the water's edge. After this, you can actually do the reflections. All right, there you go. All right, so I think we got the trees. All right, for the time being, I'm going to rest the brush a bit. I'm going to use the teeny weeny brush. I think all of you should have one. This is actually for small items. What we're trying to do is just draw a thin line. Yeah? And to draw thin lines sometimes is very difficult if you just use the paint because the paint is quite thick and it doesn't run very well. So you're gonna add a bit of water. Let me just show you. Take a look at it. Yeah, I'm just adding in maybe 3 trunks. I don't know whether they can see. Let me just highlight this for you a bit. Yeah? Take a look. Okay, I'm gonna zoom in. Take a look at this. Yeah. So you can see all these are actually trees. And what I'm doing, like, you know, I'm just adding in a tree trunk. See this? The trees are floating halfway. Just to keep it grounded, we just add a tree trunk. And the same thing throughout. Hang on. So you can see that, yeah? See? Tree trunk, tree trunk, tree trunk. If you like, you can add maybe some shrubs, yeah, so that it doesn't have to look too flat, too empty. But the idea is to make sure that your leaves are floating. I mean, your tree is floating, and you just all you got to do is just add a tree trunk. to give it that sense of, well, there's a flat land behind the tree. If you like, you can just add a little bit more to the trunk. You can add branches if you like. But usually trees of this size, your branches are all up here. Okay, so I'm actually just adding a little bit of definition to the water's edge. Okay, I'm gonna take you guys to the water right now. Okay, be prepared, yeah? We are going to the water's edge. Let me see now, here we go. You can see, yeah? All right. Let me just push the outlook a bit. All right, so you have something like this right now. All right, let's fill in the water area. And for that, I think I probably want to use the medium brush. This one, we're going to use this one. All right, but make sure it's dry. Yeah, you got to dry your brush. All right, here we go. Okay, just remember this water is serving as a reflection for what you see up there. So your middle line in reality is actually not here. The middle line is somewhere here in the horizon, somewhere here. Let me just show you. It should be, the horizon is somewhere here, but because your hues are in the foreground, it's blocking it a bit. So your reflection, let me just show you what you can do. Your reflection, you already got something like this here. Your reflection is going to consist of the sky, and you will also be reflecting a bit of the hill. Okay, just to also bear in mind, you're not talking about a perfect reflection. So this water is probably it's got some wind blowing over it, and it's got some ripples. So you're not going to get exactly the same mirror effect. But what you're going to get is roughly the same shape, same color, and it's a little bit blurry. Let me just show you what I mean. Hold on, yeah. I'm going to just do something that looks like this. Okay, and we're going to try and see. Okay, reflection of the. I'm also leaving a little light patch between the water and the edge of the land, and I'm using very dry brush here right now.
What color is that?
The color is still purple. It's actually blue and green. Blue and red. Sorry, it's blue and red, and we just dragging it through. This can be actually very dry color, or you can actually just mix the color first. It's basically blue, red. It's actually purple. Okay, you can actually paint it like this first, just to give it a layer. I'm just leaving this area between the side of the land and the water, because usually between the land and the water there's maybe some shallow area. It could be a beach, it could be sand, but usually there's some reflections near the edge of the water. Okay, so basically what I'm doing is I'm just using very short strokes to simulate water, if you like. I mean, water move here. So it's again very dry brush. I'm just dragging my color along. So there's going to be a lot of this kind of a lot of textures of the brush, if you want to call it that. And again, this hue is going to throw some reflections. So I'm going to just add colors. And I am not sure how to describe this brush strokes. Yeah, it's like left to right. You're trying to write the letter Z. So the brightest will be here, this area. We probably have to paint the area again. And I'm just laying down base colors for the water. And the water gets lighter as you come to here. It's a bit more blue. Let me just show you what I mean. This part you can actually add a bit more blue. And if you want to follow, be accurate, you may want to add some yellow because there's a lot of yellow in the sky. Hang on. So I'm going to throw in some yellow so that it looks like a reflection of the sky. A bit greenish, yeah. So this is a time when you can afford to have a lot more textures, but of course your strokes can still be left and right. Generally speaking, you're still trying to smoothen out the color. But what I'm also creating is a lot of textures left to right. I'm just going left to right right now, just to smoothen out the color. The color is still kind of wet, so you can still mix it left to right. But the idea is to have the darkest area nearer the land, the lightest area probably a bit away. Let's see what we can do right now. I'm going to add some yellow in the middle. Let's see what happens. Okay, I'm adding some yellow here. So there's going to be quite a fair bit of mixture of color here. This one is yellow with some white, yeah, by the way. So we are mixing with the background color.
Same brush, yeah?
Same brush. It doesn't have to look perfectly clean at this moment. Yeah. It's okay. Yep. Because there's an element of the, let's say, element of yellow, element of blue everywhere. Only difference is they are in different proportions. So what I'm trying to do is to make this area next to the beach, next to the land, a little bit darker. So I'm going to make add a little bit more dark color. In this case, is actually again blue and red to make something dark. I'm going to make this a bit darker, so you can see quite immediately what happens. In a sense, we are still trying to do a sort of gradual change the color from dark to light. Yeah? The lightest one is somewhere at the bottom. And I try and keep it as the dark color comes towards the middle of your valley, these two valleys, where the two hills meet. Yeah, it's a sort of valley. It goes down. So I'm going to make this area that I'm painting in a little bit thinner. And you notice we haven't even touched black yet. So maybe we don't even need the black. But we shall see. So we have, oh, okay, not too bad. Okay. So you have a gradual shade of color. And we haven't even gone to the foreground. That's not too bad. Okay, here goes. I'm just gonna just paint over this. I'm using dry brush at the moment, so I'm just creating, smoothing out the effects of it. You notice if I were to do this, you're gonna get brush textures right in the middle. Maybe that's not what we want, so we just go right across left or right, and if you can just leave it up when you reach the lighter area. I got some brush, some hair here. All right. All right. See, I think we're gonna leave this part for a while. What can we do now? I'm gonna make this area, okay, a little bit lighter by adding in a little bit some white maybe, yeah. white and a little bit of blue, maybe. Let's see what happens. I just want to make it look like it's lighter. And don't forget, yeah, the paint that here is not dry yet. So it's gonna mix, it's gonna cause a bit of a mix here. Probably a bit too much white, so add in some blue. What was that? Right, left to right, just to lighten this area a bit. So in a sense, what I'm also trying to do is actually build in because don't forget this is water, yeah, and it's got ripples that catches the light. That's why we are trying to just using dry brush. We're trying to accentuate the reflections a bit. And here I'm going to brighten it further by adding maybe some yellow and white, yeah? Not just yellow. There's got to be some white so that it gets a bit brighter. Like I said, this area is going to catch a lot of highlights. This is actually yellow with some white. And I'm keeping it as dry as possible so that I can get all the textures from the brush and the textures of the canvas. So we have yellow. And I'm going to take the yellow down further here over what I just painted. So there's a bit of the yellow. I'm using the dry brush at the moment so that we can get some nice textures. So the earlier on, we added some blue here and white. So now we're adding a little bit of yellow to the blue. In a sense, a reflection of the sky. So we got that. Let's see what else we can do. And this area on the right, I'm going to make it a little bit, maybe, let me see, what color should this be? Purplish, it's purplish. So it's actually, in that sense, a riot of colors. So many colors are at play here. You can actually fool around, play with the colors. All right. So in effect, we have almost done the river, or whatever this is. This could be river, this could be the lake. Okay, these colors are all done. Now the interesting part is when you, let's see what happens. Yeah, we got, okay, not bad. Sky, clouds, hills in the background, hills in the foreground, mid foreground, hills in the real foreground. All right, and then trees. And let's get over to this side of the land, and we're gonna do a very rough. I won't call it rough. This is basically your foreground. Is actually made up of grass and plants. We can make this place a lot darker. Let's see how dark we can go. We're gonna be mixing this blue and red, yeah, without white, yeah, for the time being. The brush strokes, if you like textures, yeah, this is a time when you actually can do things like this, because this one helps to create a sense that maybe there's grass here. It's not so, because you can always paint like this, but when you paint like this, it looks a bit too smooth. So because this one, don't forget, this one is the foreground. Foreground tends to have a bit more detail. That means you can see grass. Okay, I'm just going to paint short strokes like this. Just to give it a sense of that, give it a sense that there is some textures here. What we are trying to achieve is something that looks darker than the background. Maybe I need a bit more blue. Hang on.
That's brown or purple?
It's purple. It's purple. It looks brown because there was a little bit of yellow somewhere there, but mainly it's blue and red.
Oh, okay.
It's blue and red. You can add a little bit of yellow. That contributes to the brown look, but it's okay. What you're trying to do is not necessarily brown or purple. What you're trying to do is just create something that looks darker than the background. You see what I'm doing right now is I'm adding in texture so that it looks like grass. Yeah. In fact, when you have the colors like this, it's very close. I mean, purple and brown. And more importantly, within the context of this kind of painting, what you're also trying to achieve is like foreground. Foreground is obviously the darkest. So you can see immediately that there's a big difference between this color and this color. Yeah. Later, we're going to go in with a little bit more detail. It all comes down to the working within the time that we have. And usually for this kind of work, if you want to do super detail, you're going to be putting in easily 5 or could be 6 hours or more, depending how detailed you want it to be. But I think this exercise is mainly for you to actually explore coloring, and if you can capture the essence of the scene without too much detail, it's fine for now. At least you understand maybe lighting, you understand how to mix color, and that's about what we're going to do. And a few months down the road, if you like, we can reconvene and do something like this, but in detail. I got a friend of mine, IB Ho, you met him last week, yeah? Siva Naya.
Yes.
He sits down and spends a lot of time detailing his painting.
Yes.
To the point you've seen his painting, yeah?
Beautiful.
It takes him like, he does
Every
it.
leaf on the tree.
Yes, every leaf on the tree, every little bark on the trunk.
Yes.
But it takes time. I mean, all it takes is time. That's all. So, but like I said, within our little 2-hour window, well, we try and achieve something something nice. As I said, after this, you're gonna take a picture and take a look at it. It's not so detailed, but I think what you should be able to see is a set, a very nice, not so detailed look at the scene, but it can look very nice. All right, so we have got at the foreground without too much highlight at the moment. So my strokes here are, like I say, short vertical strokes. In a way, just to simulate the terrain, because all the grass over here, right? And there's always a chance for you to add in highlights of the grass, but maybe we leave that part first. Okay, the next level of work we're going to be going in to do right now. Okay, there is if you look at your painting, the right hand side really is actually quite a bunch of trees here on the right, and a lot of the trees are actually catching highlights. Let me just have a closer look at this here. Just give me a minute. Okay, so we have trees. All right, now I see what it is. Detailing. Okay, this way it is. Okay, here we go. All right. So we have so far, well, not too bad. We have got quite a bit of the scenery now. So what we can do is we can actually bring in bigger trees here. I'm assuming that this is probably a lake that's going to connect on the right hand side. Okay, let's put in some trees, bigger trees. Bigger trees will also give you a chance to make what do you call that? Bigger highlights. Okay, I'm going to add big trees. Okay, I'm going to be painting bigger trees here, and the tree is big enough to overlap the hill in the background. And I'm using the dabbing effect, by the way. There are quite a few trees here, so we can actually do it layer by layer.
It's still purple, is it?
It can be purple, brownish purple. It's red and blue. So I'm just going to you can leave some holes for the background hues to show through. It's okay. Because your reference shows actually trees in front of trees. So we're going to simplify that a bit. I'm going to have some bigger trees. The textures that you can get using this brush is actually quite amazing. You got to learn how to use this brush. I'm just putting in some shapes here, and I'm going to simplify this side so that you do not have too many trees here.
What brush is that? Oh,
This brush is your medium.
medium.
I mean, to blocking color, this is what we're going to do. But after this, you may want to use switch to a smaller brush. Again, I'm trying to lift the tree above the ground so that there's a space between the leaves, bottom of the tree, and there's some space for you to see the tree trunk. Okay, let me see what we can do now. Let me add in the tree trunk so that you have a better idea what I'm talking about. Okay, you have this big tree in the foreground. Okay, so it's like there's some space between the land, the grass, and the bottom of the tree. So what we can do is just add in maybe something that looks like a tree trunk. Okay, there you can see. So now what we're gonna do, we have literally covered all the trees, and we still got to figure out whether we need black for this area. But for the time being, what we will do, we have the base element for all the trees. Let me just fill up a bit more. So this color is actually very dark. It's actually blue and red. Okay, you can call it purple or it can be maroon. It's hard to tell in this kind of lighting. Okay, so we got this. Like I said, when you're painting sceneries like this, you are also presented with a lot of opportunities to interpret, the scene as you see it, So you do not have to be 100% accurate to your reference. Your reference is only there to give you an idea of what the scene can be. It is not necessarily has to be the same thing. All right. So now I'm going to start doing highlights for the trees. Just give me a minute. Okay. Now all these here are trees. So I'm going to just add in highlights. The highlight is going to be made up of, let's see what it looks like. It's going to be yellow, but yellow is a little bit too strong. What you're trying to do is you're trying to create a color that's basically lighter than whatever the background is. So this color may look a bit strong on white, but when you put it on the something like here, because this background is already dark, what I am doing, I'm just dabbing in highlights. It's a curve. Let me just bring in the camera so you can see clearer. Hold on, yeah. This is something that you got to see to appreciate, yeah. So it's actually a slightly curvy thing. So I'm actually putting highlights on the side of the tree that is going to catch the sunlight. That will be basically the left. The sunlight is somewhere at the back, yeah, but it's somewhere in here behind this hill.
Orange, is it?
Yeah, correct. It's almost orangey. Look, yep. So it's actually a bit curved to the shape of the tree, and let me see now, and a bit of backlighting. So it's actually behind the tree. Let me see now. I'm just trying to keep it minimum. It's essentially on top of the tree. This side you probably won't catch much highlight here because the light is coming from this part, yeah, from here. This side shouldn't be catching highlight because it's actually blocked by this hill. So your sunlight is coming from here. Just bear in mind, yeah, from here. So you're gonna go this way. So this 1, 2, 3 probably shouldn't get it. Maybe this one can. This one maybe not. This two not. So we gotta cover that again. So we have something like this. Hang on. All right, that is far away. This is almost like I'm writing a C or E. It's hard to describe, so I better show you up close. All right. So the tree in the foreground here, I think I can also add highlights now. Just give me a minute. Let me put this up. All right. So you can see roughly the warm lighting suggests that there is actually warm light hitting the trees. All right. Now the foreground tree is going to catch the highlight too, but because it is a lot closer, yeah, you can afford to have bigger. I mean, bigger as in you have a little bit more space to maneuver. Let's see what it looks like. All right, I'm going to assume that, okay, I'm going to catch highlight here. I'm dabbing here now, and I'm being quite liberal with the strokes, but I'm trying to make sure that it is, I don't put highlight at the bottom right here. Okay, I'm just going to put highlight on the side of the tree. I'm guessing it's going to catch some light. This is where it gets interesting. And I can tell you, if you really like to spend some time later on, it is a repetition of what I'm showing you right now, but in a lot more detail. So the moment I add in highlights like this, this tree here kind of takes on, you can start seeing there's a shape. Okay, I'm just adding in a little bit more, but basically, like I say, it's just highlights I'm dabbing in, yeah, and I'm keeping it on the left. And because these are very irregular shapes, it's hard to tell you exactly where to put it. But what we're also trying to do is just to achieve a sense of maybe lighting. And okay, now we've done that. We can add more, or we can basically enhance the highlights. Okay, there you go. And okay, now talking about highlights, yeah. you can also look at this as a scene where the highlight is going to hit you here on the tree. There's going to be also some highlights on the grass, yeah, by the way. But here you don't want to have the same kind of effect as the top. So your strokes are a little bit, maybe a little bit more control using the properties or textures of the brush. What you can do is you can create, I think, how do you describe this? You can create textures. Now, let me, again, I think I'll bring down the camera so you can have a look. Okay, take a look at this. Okay, so this highlights a little bit, maybe bigger dots, but here, the highlights are a little bit smaller because when we are talking about maybe grass, so try and keep it as thin as you can, which means basically you don't press your brush in too hard. See, but what I'm actually trying to get here is some sense. Okay. So that it doesn't look like one flat color. Can you see? So highlights over the grass, and you can actually put it here. And don't forget, do not forget, you are dealing with something quite natural. So in fact, the earlier strokes that I applied, if you look at it, I hope you can get something like this earlier. That short strokes that we were using earlier will create this kind of environment, this kind of texture. And of course, I think stuff like this you will eventually learn or at least pick up, and it becomes second nature to you when you're actually painting land. Look, I'm just adding highlights, maybe at the edge of the lake. You can treat it as if this whole area is a little bit is in the shadow area, so you may not want to catch a lot of highlight. But like I say, the light is coming from here, so you might be able to catch until here. Now Sumi got thrown out, is it? But we don't have a waiting room, so you can if you get disconnected, you can always come back. Let me see now. Okay, so you got oh my nice. I'm beginning to like this quite a fair bit. Right, so almost there. All right. So again, the only thing lacking at this moment is maybe you need to add in or spend a lot of time on detailing. So as long as you get a sense that this area is very dark and this area gets a lot brighter as you go further away, you would have been able, you just achieve a sense of maybe perspective in color. Okay, let's see whether I can add in more detail. Hang on. Let's try and see now. Now that we have done practically the whole painting, it's only a matter of detailing. All right, now I'm going to use this small brush, this one, to slowly enhance my lighting. All right, let me see now. My brightest area will be here. Let me see. I'm going to add in.
You're using yellow or white?
Yellow and white. A little bit of white, so that because yellow usually Usually it kind of gives way to the background color afterwards. So I add a bit of white, but be careful, it can be too bright. Yeah. The only time when you can use some white is maybe on the sky, where the sun is. So I'm trying to simulate a little bit more reflection, a little bit more depth, and a little bit more textures. Like I say, these are the things that you can actually be spending a lot of time on just doing this. I'm just making it lighter so you can see. So I'm enhancing the landscape by adding more depth, more textures. Again, very hard to tell. Let me just bring in the camera from far. Okay, I'm basically just making it a little bit brighter. But when you're doing this, just bear in mind, this one is behind this. Yeah, this one is in the foreground. So basically, I'm just adding yellow. And to give it a lot more depth. And you see, when you're dealing with a hilly terrain, what we are also trying to do is to capture a sense of maybe the rocky. I mean, this is a hillside, so uh, there's no fixed shape, so it can be any way you want it to be, and I can add in valleys, I can add in elevated areas, and doing just a little bit of highlights like this. Look what is happening to the hill. I'm also trying to separate this hill here. I'm trying to separate from this one in the foreground. So I'm just making this area a bit brighter. So when I do this, you also have to realize that I'm actually kind of leaving whatever background color is there to serve as the shadow area. I don't cover every single inch that you see here. See this? So these are the things that will take a lot of time. I mean, you can literally go over with a magnifying glass, you like that. So in a little short few minutes, what I've done is I've actually turned this batch of hill into something that has got a lot more depth and distance. Yeah. Later on, you can actually play the video and you see the difference. Okay, that's level number 1. So pretty much for the rest of the painting, if you care to do it, it's just going over in detail, but slowly. You have to take your time. It will take you a lot of time, but it's quite fun to do. So see what you can see here immediately. I have depth. I separate this hill in the background from this hill in the foreground. And also, I'm actually making use of the properties of the dry brush. So I apply very little paint, and when it dries, we can do lots of things. Okay, let me see if I can add in one more strong highlight. I'm going to assume that the sunlight is somewhere here. Not assume, I'm just making it to look like it's coming out from here. So that will be the brightest. So the light comes here, there's a lot of reflections in the water, and reflections you can actually do I'm basically just adding in maybe highlights. So the thinner the brush, the better. So you might want to so this is basically just to give it a sense that there is actually a layer of, or at least wave, a slight wave or ripple in the water. And I'm using a bit of water so that it's easier to draw thin lines. The only thing is when you're using water, it becomes a little bit translucent. But it helps. You have to apply the same thing maybe about 2 or 3 times. But it helps in terms of creating a gradual change of color. So we got this. All right. So this area is actually where the beach, if you can call it that, the beach meets the water. So we can actually add in, let me see, the yellow. So it's just to give you the sense of like sometimes when the water gets shallower towards the land, there's a little layer of maybe slightly lighter color there. But again, I want to show how you can get detail. Maybe it's a bit too much. Yeah. I'm just making this a little bit dimmer. So very quickly, what we've done is we have actually created a basic scene, yeah, of a sunset. Let me see what else we can do here. Let me see the clouds. The clouds can be enhanced. It's nice to be able to add brighter color to the bottom. I'm adding a bit of white to the yellow. I don't put in white 100%. Yeah? Please remember. What I'm trying to do is to use white to make your yellow a little bit more opaque. See, so that it becomes a little bit brighter, but it's not white. Yeah, it's actually brighter yellow. I'm just making the clouds a little bit more. The highlights are a little bit clearer. So there's actually a separation between the background color. So as I said, you can actually literally be spending hours just doing highlights. Whatever you've done earlier, things that you can actually expand on, yeah. Basically because of the detailing you want to do, and a great part of your detailing is actually in the highlights like this. But the advice is going to take you a long time. Just be careful. So you notice every one of the highlights for the clouds at the moment, I'm simplifying it so that I'm only applying the highlights at the bottom. Yeah, you see this? It's at the bottom of the cloud. Of course, in real life, there will be highlights almost everywhere, but we keep it a little bit simpler so that it doesn't get too confusing. I'm just adding highlights at the bottom of whatever cloud formation you have. Yeah, even this. Very, very nice, subtle highlights. Okay, I'm going to take you into the foreground trees. Remember earlier on, we were actually doing, let me see, maybe this is a bit too bright. I can use yellow. No, yeah. I'm just using this small brush to make the highlights a little bit more prominent. So it's actually progressively, we try and make things a lot more detailed. I'm just using yellow, but you notice I don't cover the entire area that was highlighted. It's only on top of the area, just on the top left-hand corner. I'm trying to keep it to the left of your object. So that these are a little bit higher. I mean, a bit more high key. If you want, you can go a bit more detail for the highlights at the back, but keep it minimal. So I'm actually painting it on the top left-hand corner. This just to enhance the highlights. Like I say, you can spend the whole weekend doing this highlighting thing. It's quite fun. I say it's really fun. But like I say, be very, very patient. And let me see now. And also remember that your tree in the foreground is not a solid mess of leaves. There's always places where your tree actually see through to the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you can actually kind of cut a hole through the tree so that it doesn't look so dense. I'm just adding in a bit more highlight. Okay, let me just so you got trees here. All right, I told you earlier on this one probably you don't want it to look like it's got highlights. Let me just remove the highlights here. Okay. Okay, well, we don't want highlights here. So we keep the highlights only to maybe the trees on the. Okay, so you got this, you got this. Okay, now this is also a time when you actually have, you can do a lot more detailing here. This is the area where the land meets the water. Usually you have a lot of bushes here. So this is what we are doing right now. I'm just adding in some shrubs so that you have a lot more definition. So the water's edge, you can actually enhance it by doing all these little shrubs. For the next online class, if you like, you may want to propose or suggest some other subject matter, and we see whether we can accommodate. If you are really tired of landscape, think of I don't know, flowers, think of buildings, think of fruits, even people or animal if you like, but those will take you longer, by the way. they are more complicated. But all comes down to you. There you go. I'm just adding in bushes. So this one helps you add a lot more interest to your landscape. And okay, now that we are at this level, I can afford to have a little bit more fun with the reflection. Okay, the reflection usually, I mean, already you have some general reflection, but you can make your reflection look a lot better. Yeah, when you do this, yeah, just take a look. Okay, every tree that you see here, you can actually do something like this, so that, I mean, it's not an exact replica, but use a thin brush like this. Create something that looks a little bit darker. Yeah, short strokes. It doesn't even have to be exactly the same shape, but as long as you get something like this. So it is a very short strokes, yeah, of your dark color. So you can see that there's some reflection within the reflection. So this color that you're looking at here is actually the reflection of the hill. This one you're doing here is just to enhance the sense of lighting, the sense of reflections that you want to create. So you just do something like this. So you can immediately see there's something that is reflected. Just left to right, short strokes, yeah. This is what makes your painting come alive. Detailing. So try and do it later when you can rerun to the video. I'll try and post it up maybe hopefully tomorrow or day after. My computer is actually under repair at the moment, so I probably won't have an edited version. So I'm going to post the same video you're going to see here. Everything that you see here, all the mistakes, all the comments. But today is not too bad. There isn't a lot of noise. Not many times the camera falls down. Once lah, maybe. But so you can see what I've done is I've basically done a little bit enhancement of the reflection. So it can be almost the same height if you like, yeah. But the effect is it gives you a sense, a lot more depth. So there's one layer, reflection of the hill, another reflection of the trees. And the effect is basically, like I say, you just have to draw left to right horizontal lines, and there you go. You have beautiful reflections of the plants, trees, and see, nice. Okay, you remember, like even here, you can actually have a lot of reflections. By the way, here, this part, we can have. Let me see, what can we do with the reflections? You have orangey reflections. Hold on here. Orangey is light. All right. So you have this, let me see now. I'm gonna have maybe, I'm just adding in a little bit more highlights. Like I say, you can literally get carried away with the highlighting. Because that kind of thing literally brings a lot of life to your painting when you have a lot of highlights. Okay, there you go. I'm adding a bit of more reflections to the water. I'm enhancing the highlights here a bit. So sometimes a tree may not get the 100% lighting. So sometimes you can add in later. This is essentially just to enhance your. This would be, I call it maybe reflected lights. Okay, highlights. There you go. Okay, yeah, I wanted to add a highlight to the tree trunk. Okay, remember earlier on what I was telling you about that? Let's say this tree. You can actually have this tree. Your tree is not a solid wall of leaves. So sometimes your you can see right through to the other side, and the other side of this is actually, well, maybe this color. Oops, a bit. I need it to be brighter. Hold on, yeah. So these are the things that can enhance your depth a lot. So okay, I have maybe, okay, the tree you can see right through. So you have maybe up the hill. This is could be the other side of the hill. You can see clearly. So I'm actually painting the other side of the behind the tree. So this color is essentially the other side of the tree. So it's things like this that brings you lots of depth. There you go. All right, see? So looking at what we've done so far, it's not bad. very, very quick 2 hour run through the environment. You have the sky, your clouds, your hills, your middle hill, your foreground hill, and your foreground trees. So you also notice that between the top of the hill and the bottom of the hill, this area becomes a little bit lighter as you go to the bottom, because sometimes in landscape there's always a layer of mist, yeah, rising from the land in the either morning or in the evening. You get this kind of effect. Yeah? So when you make it lighter this way, it gives you that sense of depth. You can see beyond the trees. Yeah. Okay. So we have got the scenery done. So can we maybe have a look at what we have all done? Let me just see. Where are we now? Let me see. Okay, let's start off with Ivy Ho. You want to
Yeah,
can or not? Come. Let's have a look. Let's have a look.
I did 2 pieces, remember?
Oh yeah. You are the one with the.
Uh,
Oh, yo. Hang on. Hey, what happened? Hang on a minute. I don't know what happened. There you are. Gee, hang on. Just give me a minute. Something is happening here. Oh wow! Can you pull it up a bit? Wait, that's very nice idea.
is it okay?
Wow.
But
You
I'm not very happy with
yes, of course. There will be detailing that you can do, and as I said, I think the only thing, yeah, I mean put it together again. Put it together again. That hill in the center,
yeah.
that one is probably a little bit too conical. Maybe a bit
Okay.
too much like ice cream cone. Maybe if you
Okay.
like, you can flatten it. But I think overall your lighting and your color, basically, I can tell you have actually. Yeah, I like it. Yeah. Later, what you can do is you can WhatsApp an image of that to me, can?
Okay.
But it looks fabulous. It looks fabulous. Now your painting is becoming bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
It's very good.
I like,
Okay. Next one.
I like big things. Yeah.
Thank you, Ivy. I'm going to see Dana now. Dana is here second time, yeah. Wow. All right. So
Wow,
you
nice.
let me see your.
But it is not completed.
Of course, you're going to take some time because even your trees on the left hand side, you still need to add a few more trees on the left.
Yes. And the mountain also not completed.
Now mountain and what else? The mountain on the right too. You need to do a little bit more work. You want to put a few more trees in the foreground, yeah. But I think you're following it, except that maybe your speed, yeah. It takes you a bit more practice to catch up a bit. But I think you run through the video later. It will help you to complete your picture. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you, Bella. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'm gonna look at Sumi.
Yes.
Sumi, come. Let's see what. Oh, your camera is very big, huh? Huh?
Same line.
Okay. All right, you have done most of it, except I think your water. The reflections in the water can be a little bit darker because your water overall is a bit too bright.
Yeah, too bright. Yeah.
The bright area where the yellow is okay. All right, but the place where the hill and the trees are on the left, yeah, especially, if you need to paint it a little bit darker, the one on the left, where you have those not the mountain. I'm talking about reflections.
Oh, the reflection.
The water. Your reflection, the background hill, the background sky looks all right, except your sky on top, the
Yeah,
a bit too blue.
See
It's a
that?
bit too blue. A little bit too blue. You might want to tone that down a bit. And the like I say, I think the reflection on the left hand side needs to be cut down quite a bit so that it's I mean, not cut down, make a bit darker.
Okay.
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 All right. Enjoy your detailing later on. Okay.
Yeah, all right. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me see. I've seen who else. Siapa lagi? Shopping. Shopping, you wanna show me or not shopping? There, shopping is. Let me have a look. Oh, say you got it very nice there. But show me the a bit lower, a bit lower, a bit lower. Okay, I can't see the top of your painting, but it's okay. The okay, there you go. Okay, you have got it very nicely done. Hey, actually, you're very you have captured it in a very soft way. I like the way you're doing it, your colors and all that. So the only thing that you need to do now is maybe improve the highlights a little bit more. But I think overall your picture come across very well done. The only other thing that I want to also ask you to do, you know, the place where the land meets the water, like I originally call it the beach. That whole stretch, maybe you can actually make it a little bit toned down a bit. It's a bit too white at the moment, too bright, too bright. Yeah, that's about it. And I think a bit more highlights on the tree in the foreground, the trees in the middle ground, and like I said, your beach needs to be light, not lightened. Your beach needs to be a little bit not so bright. It's too bright at the moment. Okay, thank you, Shopping. That was a very good effort. Okay. Yeah, Shopping, lagi siapa? I think we've seen everybody. Stacy, as usual, keeping quiet. All right. So today, I think a very good day, ma'am. So I hope everybody is happy with the progress, but I know there's got to be a lot of things to do to make it better. So I think I've actually shown you where to highlight, how to highlight, and you run through the video a little bit more, and you'll see how you can actually improve further. If you like, you can actually take a screenshot and WhatsApp to me. Okay. So thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming. I hope you enjoy yourself. Next time you have small kids to join you, it'll be very good. They can paint in the background. Yeah. Ivy Ho, I know your friend Ashlyn disappeared. Yeah.
I don't
Right.
know what happened to her. What happened to her?
I think she's got a lot of activities now. That's why she got to skip this one. But thanks everyone for coming. I hope you enjoy yourself. All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
What do you